Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel and welcome to my tutorial. This is one of my first of its kind, and I'm going to be teaching you the basics of this tool Spark AR, where you can create a lot of Instagram filters. And the purpose of this tutorial is mainly to teach how to make the Runaway Aurora filter, which is pretty simple. It took me like 15 minutes to make it. I think it's gonna take more time to make this video than I actually took to make this filter. But anyways, without further ado, let's start. So first things first, what are the resources that you're gonna need to make this filter is this tool, Spark AI Studio, which is by Facebook, and you can download it from their official website. And this is the link. You can download it and you can install it. It's pretty normal. There's nothing new or other requirements do you need to install this tool. So we are going to be needing this tool. To download this tool, go to this URL. I'm gonna drop the links in the description. Don't worry about it. Then we're gonna need the night sky portraits. Just Google it, and you'll find a lot of these because we're gonna use these images in the background. Just download like 10, 8, 12, how many you need. Just download these images. Third thing we're gonna need is this song by Aurora. It's like Runaway Aurora. What you can do is you can copy this link because we're gonna need an MP3 file. So you copy this link, go to YouTube to MP3, paste it here, convert it. Once you convert it, you're gonna download this file. This is gonna give you the MP3 file. Now we have the MP3 file. Now is thing about Spark AR is that you can't use MP3 files there. You gotta use M4A. So there's this link. This tool converts the MP3 to M4A. Here's the little process. Just follow this, and then you should have the file. Use this MP3 that we just downloaded. Change the sampling rate to 44/100, and we're gonna use a mono channel. Stereo is not allowed in Spark AR, and the trim audio to we don't need the entire length of the video. What we need is from minute 32 to maybe 04. Okay, and then we need the AAC format, the audio codec, and just start the conversion. This should give you the file. It will be automatically downloaded once it completes the conversion. Now we have the M4A file. So now let's go back to the tool. Now we have all the resources that we need to make this filter. We've downloaded some images, we have downloaded the music, and of course we have this tool. So that's us. Let's start. Well, first thing is that we need now this tool has a lot of functions. This is the scene where your camera and your um, elements are situated. Then this is this assets that you're gonna use, like the images that we downloaded, the music that we downloaded. This is everything's gonna appear here. And these panel is for the properties of all the scene elements that we have and all the materials we have. Okay, so first we need to have a rectangle. Um, when you put a rectangle, it's automatically gonna add a canvas. Canvas is this entire canvas, this area where things happen in this Spark AR. And a rectangle is a sub element of it, which is like what part of this canvas you're going to use to make a filter. So we're going to use the entire screen. So now we come to the properties and we make it like fill width and fill height. So we have the 100% of everything. Now we're going to add a material to it. A material is something which gives you power to manipulate it with images, with colors. So we gave this material. Now set it to flat so that the environment lights can affect the rectangle. Once it is set to the flat, now extract the camera texture. Like we're gonna use the camera texture, and Okay. The reason why we extracted the camera texture is whatever our camera sees uh, through our phone, we should be able to project it into this rectangle. So there's something called patch editor shown here. This patch editor is gonna pop up here. I'm gonna drag this camera texture and I'm gonna put it to my this. You can directly assign it here, but I'm not gonna do this. I'm going to take it out here and give it like attach all the values, your RGB, HNL to the texture. RGB is the red, green, red, green, blue values for the colors, and A is the alpha. Like what is the opacity um, to use this? And once we have it here, now you see that my camera is seeing everything that uh, my rectangle is having everything that my camera is looking at. So that's the first thing. Now I need to have the images, right? Well, one thing about this camera texture is that we can manipulate these values. Right now we are passing all the things to the camera texture. Now if we unpack it, so when you unpack it, so you see that this RGBA, this is like a four type variables into this, four vectors into this, and we can extract all of these. Vector 4, this is R and G and B, and this is alpha. So if I just give it the R channel, it's just gonna show me the red channels. Okay. And then if I do this with the green, so it's just gonna focus on the greens. If I do this with the blue, it's gonna focus on the blue. And this is for the opacity. And right now, this is white. I'm gonna just put it right there for now. Okay. Uh, why I told you about unpack is that we're gonna use it in this filter. So let's remove it for now. Now let's like we gonna add this to camera. I'm gonna rename this camera to be a little bit organized. Camera. So I set this matte because this is a material type, so just don't want any confusion in my filter. Later on when it gets a little bit more elements to this. Now let's add one more rectangle to it, and this rectangle we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna use the entire screen of the phone and put it in the back. So that's how it works. Like whatever on the top is rendered the last, okay, and whatever is the bottom is rendered at the first. So now it sees the camera first. From this sees the camera first, and then rectangle is behind it. Okay, so rectangle is going to be our background. Same thing, we're gonna assign a material to it, a new material this time, and I'm gonna call it matte underscore bg. Assign it to flat. Now we're gonna give this a texture. So now let's just give one image for now, and then I'm gonna tell you like you can choose many images out of. So I like this image a lot. Let's go with this. Oh, okay. Whenever you uh, download an image, just set this compression to none always, so that it's basically a compression of an image. Like we don't need that much of size, so this tool automatically compresses it. We want to avoid it because we don't want to load a low quality if somebody has a lower internet connection. Rather, we would want them to wait to load the entire filter in good quality, right? So do not compress it for now. You can do it for your future projects, but if it's your first project, just go with none for now. Okay. Um, Now you see that this camera texture is here. What I want to do is that uh, the camera texture was here. We assigned it to this material, which was a camera material rectangle, and now we have this texture, which is not assigned to anything yet. So what we're going to do is assign it to our background, which we did already, okay, but we can't see it yet. So if you see that, if I disable this camera, it is behind it, it is behind our camera rectangle. So if I make it not visible, the camera, the background is visible. So essentially what I want to do is that after a period of 3 seconds, every when the filter completes, every 3 seconds, this thing comes to life, the background and some of my part of my face which is static. So we're gonna learn how to do it. But first thing is that I need to have this background visible somehow with my uh, camera texture visible as well. So what do I do? Well, again, it's very simple task. First of all, that I need to have something, some manipulation that this camera output gives me the behind of my back. So let's um, let's go to a green channel. Like let's see some green colors here. Um, Unpack this like we did earlier. If we unpack and how to go to these patches, that you right click on the patch editor. There are so many things that you can do. There are face interaction. You can smile and do something when you smile. There are so many interactions, so many logics that you can use from here. But for now, we're gonna unpack these things, and now you see that why I unpacked is that I wanna manipulate these channels and use them. What I use them accordingly to my mat. So this alpha, if I take the blue channel because we're gonna manipulate the sky, like sky is blue, right? So let's have a demo video which has something in blue in the background. So this has something in the blue in the background. Why are we manipulating the blue color? Is that because if you see in this filter, most of the skies are blue. So blue channel has to be manipulated to show me the background of my video. Okay. So I took this out and you see that now I just see the blue channel, like just the blue channel, there's nothing else, right? Um, so now I have what I want, you know. But again, you can manipulate this like if you multiply it by 2 and add 1 to it, make it channel 4 again. And now we're gonna pack it to the 4 channels again because we extracted 4 channels. We manipulated them, we want to repack them and then supply it to our mat again. So you see that this pack has alpha. So what we did was that we took out the blue channel, manipulated it, and then passed it to the alpha. Now alpha is something if you turn on a flashlight and if I put my 4 fingers right here, so what are you gonna see in front of the my hand is that these 4 fingers will not let go the light, and the light will pass through this. So the image I would get there would be like 4 fingers, right? So this is what the alpha is. I manipulated the blue channel. Now I passed it to the alpha. So whatever the blue channel is there, it's the light will not impact there, right? So and put the other things as it is, because we wanna have all the colors there, right? So RGB and alpha is our manipulated blue channel and put it there. To see it more clearly, yeah, -2, -1, you can manipulate these values. We see that -1 is giving me, pretty good values here. If I multiply it by -1 and then add 1 to it, you can still, experiment these values. If I add 0 to it multiplied by -1, it's just gonna give me the entire background. But no, I wanna see my camera texture as well. So I add 1 to it. If I add 2, it's too much. So if I add 1, it's gonna give the perfect values. So now we have everything that we want, but now we are gonna add some logic to it. So this part is complete. I'm gonna keep it here. We have everything that we need in the filter, like we just need to add some manipulation so that after every 3 seconds the video pauses and it sort of clicks the whatever in the camera texture is there and reflects whatever the background is there, and we also want to keep changing the background. So let's add logic to how to change the background. So right now we have just one image here, right? Um, we want to have bunch of images. So let's add a bunch of images. There's something called animation sequence, which can input, lot of like more than one images. So I have these images here. So let's say I'm gonna use these many images, which is I think more than 10 images. I open them. So this is gonna create a sequence of multiple images. I'm going to This is 12 images now. Now you see that these 12 images are a part of my texture, just like this was. So I'm gonna rename this to BG 1 to 12, and this is my sequence BG. Okay. Now that my background has this image as a texture, what if I keep it to sequence? So you see that all the images, they are randomly keep changing in the background, and it's very fast. If you go to this animation, you have this frames per second. If you keep it 5, its speed is like 5 frames per second, which is going to be slower. Okay, the maximum you go to 25, minimum you go to 1. If you put it 0, it's not gonna move. It's just gonna stick to this number first frame. Well, keep it at 25 because it's not gonna matter. We're gonna manipulate it in other ways. Um, Now that we have these images here, this is the current frame. Okay, let's play with the current frame. So you see that this current frame has value 0 to it. The 0 is essentially number 1 image of this. So if I put it 1, this is first image. If I put it 2, this is second, and third, and fourth, and so on. So what I want to do is that add a logic here that in every 3 seconds, there is an increment in this value. So let's add a random variable. This is random patch where we're gonna go from 0 to 11, which is 1 to 12. But if you go 0 to 12 as well, that's fine. And keep it here. So you see that every time I randomize it, this should give me a value which is gonna change my frame. Since random values can be anything, so we gotta put like round it so that like if it is 1.2, just consider 1. If it is 4.4, consider 4, like this. Now I want to randomize it in every 3 seconds. So let's add a loop animation. So loop animation is that this is going to be the progress, like okay, in 1 second this is going to from 0 to 1, and as soon as the first second completes, it says like, oh, okay, generate a pulse. Okay, after 1 second it's gonna complete. So after 1 second it's gonna send a pulse. So you see that in every 1 second it's giving me a random value, and which is again rounded by this round patch. So and we are having this change here. So we are going to keep it for 3 seconds. So then every 3 seconds keep changing, right? All right. So since now we have it here now, we're gonna use it again. Okay. Now we're gonna add a logic where which gives me sort of um, pause in the camera texture. So how do I pause the camera texture? That's my next task. Okay. What I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna have um, another material, or let's play with these materials that we have. So what we're gonna do is that we're gonna click on the device and create a render pass. Render pass is something which is like it tells your effect, your camera, your phone to render what you want to render. So right now what we're rendering is that device's entire object is my scene object, and we are giving it to entire output. So whatever changes we do here, it's going to reflect in every part of the scene, not individually. It's like every part of the scene. If we have this object here, so we can manipulate it. Like we can have this background here, just just give me the background. It's just gonna give me the background. If you just wanna give me the camera, it's just gonna give me the camera. It is not gonna render anything else. Okay, so for now, let's keep it to device only and delete these. And for now, this is going to be a default thing that's gonna lie here. We're not gonna change it for now. But since we have the render pass, let's have a delay frame. Like delay frame, as the name suggests, it's gonna delay a frame, right? Like um, whatever you pass it to it, delay it by some sort of some seconds, or so that's what it's gonna use for. This delay frame has two outputs. What is your first frame and what is your render pass? What you're gonna pass to this delay frame so that it can delay it with respect to the first frame. So we're gonna make a receiver to it. This receiver is gonna come in front. How we essentially use this delay frame is that give it an input. Basically, we're gonna feed it itself only. Like so, if I mix the mix patch where two texture can be mixed, um, to numbers, to colors, to vectors, these things can be mixed. Okay. So one thing is that I want my alpha, I want my camera texture, and I want to feed this camera texture to this directly. But if you see that directly, I cannot feed it. I need a shader render pass in the middle. So if I put the shader render pass into it, the render pass, and my first frame is going to be my camera. Like, and initially, I want to see my camera here. Okay. Now you see that if you see that like this is paused because all this mix is seeing is that 100% of the first value because it is 0. If I keep it to 1, it's gonna see the 100% of the second value. So right now we're seeing 100% of the first value. If you put it like 0.5, you're gonna see like 50% of first input, 50% of the second input. If I put it 0.1, you're gonna see 90% of the first and 10% of the second. So I'm gonna keep it to 0 for now. Again, now this is we can see it here, but like everything is happening. What we're seeing here is not from here. Like this is something that we're creating. Okay, so now we're gonna add one more rectangle, which gonna hold this paused frame that we had here. Again, same steps. Make it to 100%, 100%. Assign a material to it, and call this material mat underscore uh, paused frame. Flat. Bring out this texture in the patch editor. Now you see that this shader render pass gives input to the render pass, which comes back, comes to this mix, comes to the shader pass, and come here and go back. So it's gonna keep happening. Um, I'm gonna assign it here. Now you see that my camera texture is paused, right? So, but it has it is like not having the inputs from our other things, but we're gonna fix it. Like we can't see the background here, but we're gonna fix it. So whatever is happening, we don't like pause it all the time. We're gonna pause it for every 3 seconds, give a pause. So every 3 second is my loop here, and every 3 seconds this loop gives me a pulse. So what if in every 3 seconds I have a switch variable and switch have three input flip, turn on, turn off. If you go to flip, is that in every 3 seconds it's gonna turn on and it's gonna turn off. Okay. So when it's turned on, it's gonna input 1, and when it's turned off, it's gonna input 0. So let's give it this alpha here. So in every 3 seconds, this frame is gonna play, and if we wait for another 3 seconds, it's gonna pause. Um, so if I restart my filter, it is initially it says it's pause. So I'm gonna add a not variable like do the opposite. Okay. So initially you keep playing, but then the first 3 seconds pause it. All right. I hope this is clear. Now I'm gonna create a sender to it. Like sender is nothing but like the receiver from here. So basically this is a sender. This icon is a sender here, and this icon is a receiver. So I'm gonna create a sender here to so that I don't have these complex lines like to because I want to put other things here. So the sender I'm gonna rename it to timer value, okay, and create a receiver. So I'm using this receiver here, right? Because this thing is essentially was coming here, created a sender for it so that the sender has the same value which is coming from here, so that I don't have the complex line. And I'm gonna put it a little right here. Okay. Now I'm gonna use the similar technique to make my background appear. Right. So what I can do is I can, copy this entire thing and paste it. Okay. Um, you see that everything um, was being copied from here, but there was nothing which got copied from the camera texture, which we don't really want. But again, now we're gonna put things in perspective. This delay frame is this delay frame number two. This was delay frame number one. Now this make sure we have the number one here. So we're gonna assign it to delay frame two as timer value. When you copy paste things, you gotta like reassign them. Like what are you actually copy pasting? Um, this value here was our camera text because we were pausing it. Now we want to pause the background. Our background is here, right? So I'm gonna like instead of this to bring here, I'm just gonna create a sender for it here and call it BG sender. Make a receiver for it, bring it here, and pass it here. Now you see that it is giving me. You see the difference between this and this is that here the background where the blue channel is a little whitish because we are saying that that's our alpha. So we are controlling the lights there, right? So that's now if you see that if I so this paused frame material was this paused frame rectangle. Okay, I'm going to repeat it. We had a background center to feed into our mix. Now we are having 100% of this for 3 seconds, 100% of this for 3 seconds, and then keep switching. Okay, so now that we are sending our manipulated background to this frame, we don't have to feed it the camera texture from here. We can move it from here because we are sending it anyway this frame. So whatever the output of this shader, we can put it here, right? Now, now everything is there, like everything is working, but we still don't see the background. So why is that? So let's figure out because this paused frame. So I want it to pause, but I don't want it to see in every 3 seconds. So bring this visibility of this paused frame and add it here. So in every 3 seconds, it pauses the camera frame, pauses the paused frame, but make invisible, like this to disappear. Okay, everything is working. It's now right. Everything is working here. Okay, now the next thing is the music part. I'm gonna add a audio playback controller, which is essentially it's just like a controller which can play an audio on loop and reset it. Um, import my M4A that we generated at the start. which is this. Now go to the audio controller, assign the audio to this playback controller. I'm gonna call it Aurora. If you click on play, it's gonna play here, but we can't hear anything. It is because we need to assign a speaker. So add object. You see that we are adding every object that we need in our filter here, right? All the objects, whatever is needed, are added here. And once the speaker is added, we can say that, okay, this speaker should have audio input from our Aurora, right? The playback controller. And the playback controller should be played. Okay. Um, Now we can have some sort of logic to the filter that, okay, um, start, when do you want to start it? Like when you want to start everything to function. So I'm going to say that, whenever a user starts the recording, video recording, enable this loop animation. So you see that in every 3 seconds, it's going to start the filter. Like now, since this is paused every time because unless I press my camera record button, it's not going to start. And in my laptop, I don't have a recording button. So while you test the filter, you can just use the screen tab to enable things. Okay, so like let's say if I don't put a screen tab, it's not going to start. But if I put screen tab, it's going to start, right? And I'm going to give this logic to my music as well. Yep, cool. And this is it. Now how to upload this filter. So click on here. Your files are ready. Okay, so this has to be under 4 MB. Everything has to be under 4 MB. We're gonna delete this. We are not using this. We delete this. Now make sure that everything is compressed. Put it to none, to none, to none. It's not compressed. And if I see here, yeah, 3.19. I can upload this directly. If you click on upload, it's gonna guide you how to upload it. And that's it. It's pretty much it. Well, if you want how to upload this, you just click on this. You're going to be needing your account on Instagram Spark Hub, and it's going to take a few seconds. Yep. Give it a name, whatever you want to call it. Um, Whatever the categories you think, your filter lights, your camera light, keywords are optional. Record a demo video which describes what what is your filter doing. uh, Choose an icon of your and say that, okay, this filter is pausing every 3 seconds, whatever, and just submit it. That's it. And I hope you like the how to make the filter, how like my tutorial. Well, it was like a little bit crunch of time, but I'm sure I can answer your questions in the comment section or whatever you like. Um, so let me know if you have any questions. Happy learning. All right, up top.